Are you struggling to get back to squats and deadlifts without flaring things up? Whether you're scaling everything out of fear of making it worse or pushing too hard too soon, I've got 3 things that every lifting woman should know to get back into lifting. Hey, I'm Dr. K. I'm a performance-based physical therapist who helps women train through pain and not around it. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about the real starting point to getting back into the gym and exactly what steps to take past that to get back into your training. So there's 2 sides of the spectrum I see when it comes to pain and training. On one side of the spectrum, you're taking it way too easy, you're scared you're gonna flare things up, you're doing like scaling every single thing in the workout or maybe skipping your workouts altogether. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you're annoyed that the pain is still there, you just wanna push and see if you can do this thing again, and you end up flaring it up because you didn't have the patience that you needed. So I understand why you would be thinking that you need to scale everything or why you're just over it and wanna be pushing back to where you were, but we gotta find the middle ground in the middle of the spectrum here. So in order to do that, we're gonna start with the first strategy, which is building confidence. When you've just had a flare up in your back, the last thing we wanna do is things that are way too heavy, way too difficult for you right now that reduce your confidence and your ability to move. So we have to start with what are usually the typical PT exercises, things like bridges, clams, yes, clams, there's a time and a place. Just light core activation, anything to get your body confident with any type of movement. My favorite exercises for this are glute bridges, swimmers, and bird dogs. So these are activating the muscles of your whole core, of your lower back, of your hips, and getting your body used to movement going on in that area that's easy and tolerable and not gonna flare anything up. The name of the game here is to stack small wins to build confidence over time and to allow your brain to see that movement is not something that is dangerous and to allow it to calm down your pain response over time. So typically we would do a couple sets of 10 of all these exercises either before the training session or just throughout your day as something I call movement snacks, just to again re-input that sensation into the brain that movement can happen and it's not scary or dangerous. The second strategy I use is actually to redefine what progress means. So typically progress is seen as increasing the weight that you're lifting in the gym or increasing your muscle definition, increasing your amount of times that you can lift a certain weight, or even decreasing your body weight. But when it comes to navigating pain with training, some examples of wins that are maybe not usually what you would think of as a win would be to lift a little bit more weight with the same amount of pain. So when you first hurt your back, you might just be able to lift like 5 pounds or so, like a little dumbbell, or even just the empty bar, and there's pain in your back during that. Let's say the pain is a 4 out of 10. As we progress, say you're able to lift now 20 pounds. So you'll have a couple, plates on the bar. So say that you can lift a 20-pound kettlebell now instead of a 5 or a 10-pound kettlebell, but you still have 4 out of 10 pain. So the pain is still the same level, it's still there, it's still annoying, but you can do more with that same amount of pain. You can do more before your brain is starting to sound the alarm that this is dangerous. So that does show that your body is making positive adaptations. Even though the pain is still there, you can do more. And those adaptations, when you continue to progress through those, will eventually get you back up to where you want to be weight-wise and ideally lower the pain as well. But in the meantime, it's a good sign of progress being made in your program. Another thing I like to remind my clients is that progress is not linear, especially when it comes to rehab. So usually there's a nice, time is going this way and progress is going this way, and we're just climbing the slope, the even linear slope. Well, in rehab, it's more like this. So it's still trending upward, but there are gonna be peaks and valleys, maybe a little squiggle where you're turning back to where you were before, but the progress is always generally trending upward. Even in the moment, if it feels like it's not, you need to step back, see where you started, think about exactly what you were able to do at the beginning and what you're able to do now to get a bird's eye view of where you're at overall, as opposed to taking things day to day or week to week even. Like, oh, last week I lifted, this weight for 10 reps and this week I can only lift it for 8 reps. Okay, that could be annoying. But let's look at the beginning, like a couple months ago. You couldn't lift this weight at all. So we're getting progress. It might not be exactly a clean 5 pounds added to your lifts every week, but there's progress there anyway. And it's really important to keep that in mind, especially when pain is present. And the third strategy I use is to move beyond the rehab exercises. So yes, strategy 1 was to start there and build confidence, great. But then at a certain point, when your confidence is up, when you feel like you can do some shit, then we gotta do some shit. And we can't just stay in rehab purgatory forever. That's a really common thing that I see with people in traditional rehab, or clients who have come to me after traditional rehab, where they were just doing the same old things on the table, getting a little massage, a little heat, and not actually like doing what they want to be doing. So this is the part that's also a little bit tricky, because it's tough to go from what seems like making a jump from little weenie exercises into like hardcore training again. But in this gap is where there can be a lot of movement variations that we can use, so that it's not quite 100% barbell yet, but at least it's not just a TheraBand. We're making steps in the middle to progress from the rehab exercises back into the training. So some examples of exercises I use in this part of the program would be something like a kettlebell deadlift, for example, instead of a full barbell deadlift. You could even do a double kettlebell deadlift. By using something that's not a barbell, it's easier to keep the weight closer to your body, which will be less stressful on the back, and continue to build confidence in movement with actual weights instead of, you know, the 2-pound little baby dumbbells or the bands that you were using in rehab. Again, that's great to start, but we gotta progress a little bit from A to Z. Another exercise that I really like to use with clients is a gorilla row. It's again with kettlebells, and you're in a super hingy position. You're pulling the bar, you're pulling the kettlebells to your chest. So it's not exactly a barbell row or a barbell deadlift, but you're still getting into a similar position with a little bit different movement than you're used to, and one hand is always supporting you throughout. So that's a really good option to bridge the gap. Rehab doesn't have to be boring shit that you do the same thing week after week. It can be fun. So these 3 strategies are really great for building confidence and getting back to strength training, and they're way more than just rehab exercises. And they're way more than just random movements that you found on the YouTubes. And I think the most important thing that comes from these exercises and just having a program overall is the mindset shift that allows you to see that there is a path forward, and you're not just going to be stuck in rehab purgatory forever. Even if the path looks a little squiggly, it's still getting you to your goals nonetheless. So if you're dealing with pain and you want to feel that strong woman energy again, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I put videos out every week about getting women back from rehab back into the gym. Make sure to drop me a comment if this video resonated with you. Send it to somebody you know who's dealing with pain and they are not doing too well right now. Or send this to somebody you know who's dealing with pain and feeling unwell about the whole thing. Or if you need help yourself, feel free to email me, get on my newsletter, or drop a comment below and tell me what's going on. So next video, I'm going to break down exactly the beginner moves to get you back into your rehab protocol, the ones that I mentioned in part A of this series. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.